For over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. Talent, skill, speed, intelligence, elite-level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated, more often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the E.T. Stand Podcast.
Stop waving, Franco. I meant to do my intro before we get into that, and you're already trying to put me up. Let's get into it. Are the Sharks on track this season? Are they still making the top 8? Where will they finish? Is everything going to plan? Or are we just a bit short on where we think we need to be? Welcome to the ET Stand, the Cronulla Sharks fan podcast. The podcast that is coming to you exactly from where we think we need to be. Live on YouTube and Facebook tonight, and then available audio on delay on all good podcasting platforms. If you're new to the channel and just finding us for the first time, do hit the subscribe button so you're notified of all of our upcoming videos and carry on and like these buffheads, Franco, Williams, and Lats. And then if you're enjoying the show, give us a like as well. Do get involved in the comments. Say hi if you're just joining us now, and then also for chats during the show. Do also get involved and have your say. Are we right? Are we wrong? We're talking about a bit of stuff tonight. We've got talk of will the Sharks make the top 8? Where are they going to finish? I think we're all pretty boyish on that one. We've got Will Kennedy in the Daily M's. He's improved his position. We'll do a bit of Knights fallout. Lats has got all of the social roundup and news for us. Williams will no doubt give us a history lesson on the Tigers and Leichhardt and all that other carry on. Gentlemen, joining me tonight is Scott Latino, Matthew Williams, and Franco. Fellas, good to see you all.
David?
Yeah, because I didn't prime up any of you to talk first. None of you know whether to talk or not. So just
I was
a little
told
bit.
not to wave, to hold back, to do nothing. So I'm sitting here quiet.
Oh, if only the three of you would sit quiet for the time. Well, not anymore. We're trying to get better at that, aren't we, Matty?
We are. I was holding back.
We fail and succeed sometimes. All right, now, Matty, you're giving us a classic Cronulla Chronicles episode this week. What can we look out for? Of course,
but we've got to not play it Leichhardt so often. We've only won there 4 times against the Tigers in our history. We've already covered the 08 one last year with Lat, so I think I might have to either go a game from 2001 where there's no coverage. We have a big win there. A game from 2017 where our favourite halfback who's won a premiership for the Cronulla Sharks, good old Chad, does a bit of a chip and chase. Or 2019 when a draw would have seen both teams through the finals and Tiger fans wouldn't be in a constant glass case of emotion. But instead, Paul Gallen kicked a field goal and Andrew Voss had some pretty good commentary. So, I don't know. We'll have one of those 3.
Oh, that sounds like a good plan. All right, well, let's get into it. We've got a couple of... Well, we'll wait for the comments as we get... into that. And then other than that, coming up this week, we've got the opposition fan preview. Robbie Frame of Instagram bodybuilding fame is joining me for the opposition fan preview this week. So we can compare physiques of him versus you, Lats. Got nothing to say about me comparing you to a bodybuilder, do you?
Give him a ticket to the gun show, mate.
All right, other than that... This show brought to you by all of our partners. We've linked them in the comments. And last but not least, do get involved in the Discord channel if you want to chat to other Sharks fans along the way. All right, without further ado, let's get into the social media news update brought to you by Morgan's Cronulla. For all of your share trading and stockbroking needs, give the local team down there at Cronulla Mall a call and they can help you out with your share and stockbroking needs. Link in the description. Let's get into it. Lats, what have we got? Hold on. There we go. There's your little red button on your thing. Oh, is there? All right, let's get into it.
Plenty around the league.
Let's go.
Alrighty.
Let's the view. There we go. I got there in the end. We'll cue down the music. Over to you, Lats.
You always do, Boldo. You always do. Hey, our Lisa FL squad went down in a thrilling contest at Leichhardt Oval on Saturday morning. After scoring in the opening minute through a try to halfback Juliana Collio, the girls then found themselves on the back foot with the Tigers crossing for 4 unanswered tries. However, with the Tigers only converting one of those tries, the girls dug in and rallied to bring the scores level with 3 minutes to go, only to fall short of the mark with a late try to Tigers front rower Aliana Fasavalu Masili. Which now sees the girls bow out of this year's final series. Congratulations to the girls on an incredible season and enjoy your break. The Flegg squad scored a brilliant last-minute heart-stopping victory over the Knights in Newcastle on Sunday. The boys went into the break in front 22-14. However, a second-half comeback from the Knights saw the Sharks behind by 6 points on the scoreboard with 15 minutes to go. It looked all but certain that we were going to be rolled by the last-place Newcastle before a last-ditch effort saw us cross for 2 tries in the final 3 minutes of the match. Both teams scored 6 tries apiece, with a boot of Taj Ford proving to be the difference. The boys now sit 5th position on the ladder and take on the 7th place Tigers at 12 p.m. at Lidcombe Oval on Saturday. The Jets got the job done again this week in Newcastle prior to the main game on Sunday, where they thumped the Knights 40 points to 12. Niwai Puru bagging a hat-trick, Billy Burns a double, tries also to Max Bradbury, Kyle Pickering and Eli Clark. The Jets sit equal first with the Warriors, who we beat last week, separated by only 18 differential points. The boys go on to play the 12th place Magpies at Lidcombe Oval at 2 p.m. this Saturday. Now, surely Will Kennedy is knocking on the door of a contract upgrade after 7 rounds, finding himself atop the Dally M leaderboard on 22 points. Will's having an absolute standout season. He's playing some of the best consistent footy that we've seen from him. He's getting plenty of love across the socials. However, interestingly enough, I noticed none of you boys or any of the dial-ins and commenters had him in their 3-2-1s during Sunday's debrief, Boldo.
Well, Franco and I talked about that, and Franco said in the comments back to me, you only let me talk about the Sharks-Knights match for 60 minutes, so you didn't give me enough time to chat about Will Kennedy. And I responded thinking, well, surely if he played well, he would have gotten a mention in the first 60 minutes. I think maybe our expectations have lifted on Will Kennedy now, and whilst he wasn't involved in a flashy try, he certainly had a lot of meters, but we'll talk about that. Maybe we'll spend a whole segment on that later, and Franco can think of a response between now and the end, unless you really want to go now, Franco.
I can wait.
All right, we'll wait. We'll wait.
Oh, that's ominous.
It is a little ominous. We'll wait. On to the next.
All right, Sunday's game against the Knights has sent the socials into a bit of a negative flurry, actually, for a couple of reasons. One being Fitzy's persistence to keep picking Daniel Atkinson on the bench. There's been a lot of that in the socials. Fans are still confused by it, given that he comes on, doesn't really offer too much in his short stint. It's just confusing, to be honest. The other reason being that we played way too passively towards the end of that match. Fans wanted more points. They wanted tighter defence and really put the foot on the throat and beef up our for and against. I wanted to get Maddie's thoughts on this one. I've already heard you two buffheads waffle on about it on the debrief. So what do you think of it, Maddie?
Watching live on the day, I think, like all of us, we're a bit happy to get the 2 points. The Knights were, I suppose, fired up, and Fitzy did mention that. And I did notice that they seemed on physically in parts, but they also, because there'd been so much pressure on them, they hadn't scored a point in a long time, or they'd been towed up by the Tigers. And after going into the season with a pretty good draw, they won their first 2 matches. They're a proud town. They'd had a sellout against the Tigers last week, a pretty big crowd against the Sharks on a sunny Sunday afternoon this week, and probably if they were going to be better, would have sold it out quite easily. The pressure was on them. So to see us have that glut of possession from, I suppose, capitalising on their errors and then going 16-0 up is always good. But I thought we were lucky to get away with that Fletcher Sharp try. I thought Nico Hines was a poor read. I was watching the Fox Sports coverage, and they didn't really focus too much on it. But having seen the highlights this afternoon and seeing the Channel 9 coverage, Phil Gould was blowing up to Lux, to use a good rugby league term there, that it was a poor read by Hines. So I think we were lucky there. That could have been a real game changer. And then, so it was a physical game. We proper score the first 2 tries, get a good lead, let them kind of back into it a little bit with that try by Marju there, and then kick on with another fortuitous thing in that we got a pretty lucky sin bin. I know you guys are talking about saying we would have been annoyed if it was one of our players. So we were lucky there, but I thought we were playing okay. And then to put the cue in the rack when and there's no other way of putting it. You see how Marju runs back on the inside and Cam's jogging. He's obviously fatigued and Marju just runs around or beats 4 players quite easily. I can see how people were frustrated and annoyed and disappointed by that when for it against is always a big deal. And always important in us to give that up there and give what could have been quite easily, let's say, a 40-0 win, like Toby dropping the ball over the line, a few other opportunities going begging, us dying on the last tackle, 6 times that had to be directed. I think it was 6 times. Don't quote me on that, but a lot had to be directed. I think it might have been an energy management kind of thing. It was a hot day. It was close to 30 odd degrees on Sunday in Sydney. Yes, 4 p.m. it cooled down a bit, but it was warm. We know the players are probably fatigued. So at the time, I was annoyed. But in hindsight, I think take the 2 points, move on. The only injury concern, I think, was the ankle injury to Rudolph, and then also there was that in the press conference too about the injuries that Kafusi's had. So was it a finger surgery and then backing up a playing, and I think maybe even a syndesmosis issue for him. And there's obviously that's what he is revealing. There's a lot of stuff he won't be revealing. So we know about AFB and the like. So look, disappointing at the time, disappointing live because you see what it could have been. But I thought we're lucky to get in that position in the first place, and I suppose it was a privilege to be able to, for want of a better term, a privilege for the Sharks to be able to put the cue in the rack and go, look, let's take the 2 points and move on. Because if a couple of those things didn't go our way, it could have been only a 6 or 10 or 12 point game going into the back end, and it would have been a bit more of a heart stopper.
I'm just pleased that Williams, hold on, lads. I'm just so pleased that Williams has finally admitted that for and against matters, and that we should be focusing on that.
Well, as always, I would say it's a graded thing in that I wouldn't take the 2 if 40 points to nil down, and I think that many other teams wouldn't either. But there is an element, like anything, both things have an element of importance. It's a sliding scale.
There's a break point.
Exactly. Everything's a trade-off.
Such a good moment for me. Keep going, lads. I'm just so pleased.
If that's making your day, I will let you have that win.
I'm going red. I'm so pleased.
I know.
But
I'm
okay, Williams. I'm okay with with us taking the foot off the throat there towards the end. Like, last thing you want to do. We won by 20 points. More so defense. I'm a bit more concerned about. I would have liked that to been a bit tighter at the end, but you don't want to go, busting your backside, risking injuries, overplaying it when you don't have to. We wound it out and we got the win, and that's all we needed.
Yeah.
All right. Well, 4:00 Sunday, the Sharks travel to Leichhardt Oval to face the Jerome Luai-led West Tigers that will be smarting following it closer than it looked lost to the Eels. Watch that one pretty closely. I thought they were a bit unlucky. This match preview is brought to you by Miranda Hotel, an icon of the Shire. No hidden gem right in the middle of Miranda. You can catch the train home if you've had a couple of drinks, and you can get to the game and take advantage of the $7 schooners and also $12 margs. Book a table using the link in the bio to get down to Miranda Hotel and watch the Sharkies on Sunday. The Sharks have had an excellent record against the Tigers. 13 from the last 15, with the Sharks sitting 6th. Tigers with just one win below us outside the 8. Let's go through the team lists and start previewing this one, lads. Where are we? There we go. The team list. Control C, Control V, almost. With the same team being named. I'm skipping the music because it just doesn't work. So fullback William Kennedy, wingers Stone Street and Ronaldo Monotalo.
You and I win there.
Oh, rare victory. A rare victory for Franco and Williams. Just ditching the music. All right, fair enough. Anyway, centers are Jesse Ramian and Marwin Harodi. The halves, Trindle and Hines again, with the front row for Noah Blake and Kafusi. Brayley hooks the scrum. Same back row, Nickera, Wilton and McInnes captaining the team. With our man Daniel Atkinson, I never doubt you, Dan Atkinson, at 14. With Talakai, Tukes makes his way into the team, replacing Toby Rudolph, who's got a syndesmosis injury, and Thomas Hazelton in number 17. The coach at Craig Fitzgibbon. Control C, Control V, Tuku Hautapu, or is he the man who should be coming in for Toby, Franco?
Oh, it's not bad. He's certainly got the runs on the board when we've been a man down, the guy to be called up. So it just continues that line through. But I suppose if you look at the extended bench, we've also got BHU there in the extended bench waiting in the wings. So he's probably close to fitness. Otherwise, he wouldn't be named there. So one to watch as well.
All right, let's go through a couple of these comments. Just a couple of people coming in here. Scotty McLaren saying, tip Ronnie and Taruva to be in a push and shove. Ronnie has been in a bit of push and a shove and hasn't been scoring as many tries this season. Lads, are you abandoning him for your betting stakes for try scoring now, or what?
Oh, mate, I wish I had of last week, but I went off Stone Street and went for Ronnie. I thought he's well overdue. He's creeping up to being one of our highest try scorers, and the moment I do, he scores a hat trick, no doubt. But I think I'll be off him for a few weeks.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't know if it's the Harodi situation there. Iro, just having him on his inside, they're not familiar with each other. Who knows? And Hirotti's been scoring himself, the great man. He doesn't need to pass it.
Marine Hirotti. How good is Marine Hirotti? He's just so good, isn't he, Lats? He's just one of the great Sharks players.
Oh, he's one of my favourite players of all time, mate, and I'll stick by that.
Improvements. Where do we need to improve, you think, Matty Williams, based on last week?
Improvements, I suppose, taking advantage of our opportunities and applying pressure. So we had plenty of possession on, especially in the first half on the weekend, and plenty of territory. But 2 tries to props, which I think a better defensive system would have sorted, and then that try to was it Stone Street late on, which was a good shift. But we didn't really apply pressure. Yeah, we're trying to front load our defense, but I think a few more grubbers into the in goal. It seemed directed, so and more so than normal. But I think we didn't get those back-to-back sets there that the better teams get to kind of grind you out of the match. We didn't quite have that. So that would be nice to see. And then again, intensity and intent in defence, which fell away in the last 20 minutes or so. But it might be a function of all the other things happening, which just continual improvement, please. Just incremental improvement.
Sean King in the comments has said, I know it's been said 1,500 times, but Atkinson 14 is done and finished, surely. We need to blood Hohepa Peru or finish one of the big poppers into the bench lineup. Franco, get your drum out, start beating it. Let's go. How do you respond to Sean?
I mean, look, he's got a lot of people agreeing with you there, Sean King. We touched on the extended bench before. We've got Jaden Berrell, Hamlin Ueli, Billy Burns, Hohepa Peru, and Jesse Colquhoun. I think most of us would be happy with any of those guys on the bench instead of Atkinson. That said, obviously there's a plan for Atkinson. There's a reason why he's being picked. Something that those guys don't offer, whether it's insurance, whether it's cover. You know, I've spoken about how I think we can adequately reshuffle the deck chairs and utilize Talakai as cover there for insurance, but maybe there's something there that we don't know about. And Atkinson is the man that's being picked. So while I think we all on the same page from outside the 4 walls that we want Atkinson back into New South Wales Cup, especially with the added incentive that he is going to the Dragons next season. Look, he's doing his best. He's trying his hardest. He's doing what he's being asked of from the coach. So, you know, let's wait and see. It's always one of those scenarios where if something does go wrong and he steps up and has a blinder, the coach is a genius. So, you know, just at this stage, it's difficult to pinpoint what that is. And obviously, you know, I'd prefer the coach holding his cards close to his chest than yelling out to the world what he's doing and why. That said, while we're winning, it's probably not a problem. If we start losing a few, that's when the Atkinson at 14 will become a bit more under the microscope.
That's
just while we're on Atkinson, Boldo,
Yep.
just before we move on, I noticed during the team song last week, Nico had ice on his quad. I don't know if there is an issue there, if it was just a cork, but if something were to happen, Atkinson would be a handy backup. So I can see why Fitzy's doing it, but it is getting tired. We know he persisted with Talakai in the centres for a very long time. So
which was clearly the right
he's
call.
either very smart or very stubborn. But yeah, I'm sure you probably will be having it out with him at some point, no doubt.
Oh, who knows? Lads, this one's directed at you. A couple of comments have come through on the Discord saying Cam McInnes, maybe he should just fight the challenge so he can be suspended for 1 week. And you look at Sifa Talakai are only getting 22 minutes. I'm beating my drum. Nico Hines, captain time. Cam McInnes, is he under pressure yet, or is it just one man? Is it a one-man campaign?
I think it's sounds like it's a 2-man campaign. You and that other account you created to post that comment.
My burner account.
I don't know who that was, but I don't think. Look, Cam never stops trying. He competes. He's in everything.
We love you, Cam.
Mate, you put him back up above
Some
your
of
bed.
us even
He
have your
deserves it.
face on our
He's not
bedspread.
going anywhere, mate. He's not going anywhere.
It's fair enough. All right,
There you go.
Williams, any other comments on this team?
Good point on Nico with the iced quad. I thought Nico was running more freely on the weekend and kicking more freely too. I'm not sure if it was windy. I know it wasn't really windy in Sydney. It was pretty calm, and he's getting a lot more ground on his kicks. Some of them are still those, as you guys were talking about, quote unquote, Franco, those middling, don't go too far, don't go too deep, chip kicks, which I'm not a fan of. But some of his downfield kicks were really good, and I was like 2022-esque. Because like, wow, if you kicked early in the account, because he kicked some monster 40-20s 3 years ago for us, and that seems to have disappeared out of his kit bag. I don't know if that was an injury thing or not, but he seemed to. Maybe it was just perception against maybe a poor Knights team, but he seemed to be running and kicking more freely, which gave me some hope that he's maybe turning the corner a bit form-wise. So I was happy to see that.
All right, let's look at this Tigers team. As we just call up a comment here. Danny Lee has come through the comments on the Tigers team saying, worried that Galvin is back for the Tigers as he will have a point to prove. But if we are contenders this year, this is a win for us. All right, let's look at this Tigers team to take on the Sharks.
Great name, Danny. What a Sharks player. Not the Sharks player, but what a Sharks player.
The Ox.
I was going to talk about that. Danny Lee in the comments. Danny Lee, goodness me, that's such a good name, isn't it? One of the great Sharks players, Danny Lee. I guess if you're going to be named the same thing as a Sharks player, Danny Lee wouldn't be a bad one, would it, Matty?
No, I think I'd be changing my name if my name was Jared Anderson, but Danny Lee is up there.
Well, you could have been. I guess you could have been Reece Williams or John Williams.
Oh yeah.
So we've asked you for this before. You haven't come through with the goods on whether you're going to do the team of Williams.
I can come through the goods now. Or I can do it later. What would you like?
Later.
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 We'll do it later.
Done.
I'll do it later. All right, the Tigers team to take on the Sharks. Yep.
My parents tried to call me Sonny Bill, but that wasn't really a theme in the
You walked out on it.
Imagine being called Sonny Bill. All right, Sonny Bill. I don't think anyone else is called Sonny Bill other than Sonny Bill. I think that guy's been named. All right, anyway, we digress. The Tigers team to take on the Sharks. Jareen Buller at fullback with Sunia Tarava. How do you say that? On the wings.
Ruva.
Sneer Taruva.
Taruva. Oh, God, I'm going to be shocking at these names. Naden on the other wing. Adam Dewey, the much heralded Tigers for the culture leader of that team with Stafford Toa. With Lachlan Galvin recalled at 5'8", captained by Jerome Luai, the player in the NRL with the highest winning record. Front row of Terrell May and Fanua Pole, with Api Carousel, also the co-captain at hooker. And then in the back row, Samuela Fanu, Alex Seyfarth, and Alex Twal, with a bench of Talon De Silva, Royce Hunt, Jack Bird, Sion Fanu rounds out the bench, and coached by Benji Flickpass Marshall. All right, let's talk about Lachlan Galvin, because we've got a few comments here. Ray Howell also coming through, asking us, how do you boys think Lachie Galvin being recalled will impact the Tigers? Look, I thought the Tigers were unlucky to lose against the Eels and were actually more in it. Clearly, they've been training with Lachlan Galvin at 5'8". They look just a little bit out of sorts with Dewey, oddly named at 7 or whatever it was last week. It seemed just a weird makeup of that team. I think it'll galvanise them a little bit. And look, you just want your top players playing despite if they're leaving. So I think Galvin coming back to the team is probably going to lift them a little bit. Franco, I can see you're motioning to talk there. What's your take?
Oh, I mean, Dewey was playing in the halves before he ended up doing his ACL and being out for a long time. So I guess that's why he's been named or was named in the halves. But obviously it's been a while since he's played there. And yes, they did look a bit disjointed with him there. So unfortunately, the poor Tigers are on a bit of a hiding to nothing in this scenario, right? They don't pick Galvin and they're lambasted for not having one of their better juniors playing. They do pick him and he goes well, then, you know, they're lambasted for what's going on with his contract. Or if he doesn't go well, then they're lambasted for putting him back in the team, right? It's a lose. There's no win for them. He may have a blinder. There is a lot of pressure on him now. We've sort of seen what happened with Dylan Brown and he's signing with the Knights, just because he's got a point to prove doesn't mean that he will make that point. But it's certainly going to be a sink or swim sort of scenario for him, where he's going to absolutely have a blinder or go missing. The alternate is, the rest of the team try to lift to show that he's not as key a component to them. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. It's certainly going to be good to watch. They'll be better than they were last week, though, that's for sure.
Lass, you get bullied every week on this show. So do you think Lachlan Galvin has been bullied or not?
Mate, if you saw some of the guys I worked with, I don't think that's bullying at all that that he's going through. Look, what plays in a footy team? Like, man up a bit. We know why they're going down the bullying path. His manager and him want out, and they're just doing everything they can to make that happen.
Williams gives a thought.
It's going to be a bit of a force multiply kind of game, I think. So Leichhardt's always a supercharged, turbocharged environment and atmosphere. And I'd imagine, I know what the weather's like this Sunday, but it'd be close to, if not a sellout, with the expectant Tigers fans, with a Tigers team that's playing better. I agree, Boldo. I only saw bits of the game against Para, but when I saw the 15-minute period around when they had that guy in the sin bin for an apparent hip drop, and Parramatta scored 3 quick tries there. We could have scored 3 quick tries on the weekend ourselves in a 10-minute period when Schiller was in the bin, which I think that's probably a Sharks record, given that normally we poo the bed in those circumstances and concede tries or kick penalty goals or whatever else we need to do when we should have gone for the jugular. We almost
should always kick penalty goals at the start of a sin bin, Matty. Almost always, because you get the ball back. So you kick the penalty goal, you get the 2, you settle down, you're all right, cool, you get the ball back, then you go score another try, you get 8 rather than 6.
You waste a third of the 10-minute time.
2 teams have recently done that. So the game in my Chronicles episode last week, Amelia was a send-off, but Knights were up 22-20 against the Sharks in 2003. Paul Gallen sent off. Andrew Johns took the 2. Sharks kick off. Knights drop the ball. Sharks score, lead 26-24 into the final 10 minutes.
Just don't drop the ball off the kickoff is also a pretty important bloody rule, isn't it, Will Kennedy?
Well, it puts you back. Luke Cavell missed a penalty goal, for example. We could. That's a tangent there, and there will be no winner. But anyway, so there's that. Just saying, so Tigers, yes, they'll be better for it. And Lachlan Galvin. So if he starts well, if the team starts well, this can really, for want of a better term, and this is not a pun that's intended at all, but galvanise the team and could go from strength to strength like they did last year against us. Or if he has a poor start and we turn the screws early, the wheels could fall off as well. So I think it's going to go one of 2 ways. And it's going to be very interesting watching to see the bullying thing. Yeah, they've probably got a point there, but also too, they started it. All the media reports are around he and his manager. They initiated all of this. So it's a dodgy, awkward, yucky situation. And we'll see where it plays out. Great soap opera. League's always good for that.
It is. I don't actually think Lachlan Galvin is actually that good. So
you got to remember he's only 19. So
he's hardly Brad Fittler.
Well, I mean, Brad Fittler's of a different era. There's not too many teenage halves that actually live up to their potential in the NRL, let alone second year. So he's doing pretty good. To
his credit, too, Fittler started in the centres and then played a fair bit of lock as well, where Galvin's in the thick of it at 5'8" and has performed. So it's hard to
Nathan
compare,
Cleary, gun 18-year-old player.
Was not a gun to start with. He
was pretty good.
No, he wasn't pretty good. There was a lot of taunts thrown his way. Good. And he had a pretty handy halves partner carrying him through for quite a while there until he found his feet.
I can't argue. I can't argue against this because I always say that the Panthers came good once Jerome Luai turned up. So I can't really argue with myself here. Yeah, go Matthew. Come on.
James Maloney was partnering Cleary there, but you were involved in all the jokes and the memes getting around about Wade Graham getting more try assists in a 15-minute period in Origin than Cleary had in like 8 Origin matches, things like that. So yeah, Cleary took a while to mature, and going through to his dad's, I suppose, credit, he revealed like he didn't make any of the rep teams. That's why they signed Jack. I'm pretty sure it was Jack Cogger, because Jack Cogger was the guy that kept Cleary out a lot of the junior teams going through. So there are late bloomers. I'm not saying Cleary is, but I don't think he set the world on fire at 18 like you may think he.
Jeez, we're tangenting this thing. All right, let's bring this show back on. I think I'm the king of the tangenting this. All right, so bringing this back on track, the Tigers team versus the Sharks. The Tigers bench, Talon De Silva is the backup hooker, isn't he? So then you've got Royce Hunt and Sion Fanu, who are front row forwards, middle forwards. And then number 16, Jack Bird. I've not heard of him. He's an unheralded player. Where's he come from? Matty, do we know much about him?
Bit of a journeyman.
Wasn't he a fast bowler? Was he a fast bowler for Australia? Jackson Bird.
Jackson Bird, I think you're right.
Jackson Bird. No, Jack Bird.
Jack Bird, of course, former Shark.
I love Jack Bird. I still love Jack. I will always love Jack Bird. And Royce Hunt.
Not sure if Benji did last week when he sort of missed that try there when he threw one of the other players' headgears out of to throw it over the dead ball line. And,
I noticed that too.
And
he threw it away, so he kind of flicked
Benji
it with
when
his
asked
arm.
about it in the and left an opening right there, which they exploited. But Benji was asked about it in the press conference. Richardson let him talk about this one. And just he's just saying they'll discuss it in house tomorrow and have words.
All right. So what do we make of the returning Sharks players, or Royce Hunt and Jack Bird? Are they going to be out for revenge? Are they going to be motivated, lads?
Look, I think I'd worry more about Royce Hunt than Jack Bird. He's been close to scoring a couple of times the last few weeks, Royce Hunt. He'll bring a bit of impact off the bench, but not too concerned, mate.
All right,
Williams
Williams
was injured the last couple of weeks anyway, wasn't he? So, or at least last week. So, yeah, Jack Bird's been against us for years now, whether it be at the Broncos or the Dragons. He's apart from winning a premiership with us, he's less of a Shark than he is a Shark at this stage, if you look at his career games. But look, you're always going to have a little bit of that extra bit when you're going up against your old team, or teams, plural for him. But yeah, Royce Hunt's probably the one that might fire up a little bit more. We gave him that second lifeline. He's been a bit of a home with us for quite some time. Didn't leave on bad terms, at least. So, it's going to have a bit of a love-hate relationship there, I think, where he just wants to do good against us and have that bit of banter with the boys that he's probably still friends with.
All right, Matty, give us the history rundown of the Sharkies versus the Tigers.
38 matches total since the Western Suburbs Magpies and Balmain Tigers merged to become the merged entity West Tigers in 2000. They had a great record against us early. So you're talking about, 15 out of the last 18 or something record? They won a lot early on now, I suppose, rivalry. So they've won 19 total. We've won only 18, so less. And there's been one draw back in 2001, 16 all draw at Shark Park. We've scored more points, 907 to 834. At Leichhardt, there's been a total of 10 matches. We've only won 4, and they've won, the remaining 6. And they obviously won there last year. Our last meeting between the sides was us putting 50 on them last year, but the preceding meeting also at Leichhardt, they beat us 32 points to 6. So it's a bit of an up and down battle against the Tigers there. And for a long time, no matter how well we were going, even through years like 01, 02 and the like, and even 08, they found ways to beat us. And then when they were good in like 05, 06-ish, they just pumped us every time, including putting that 46-6 win in 2005. They put 50 on us in 2007 or 2007 in 2009-ish. So they've had the wood on us for long periods of time too.
All right, give us a tip, Matty.
Sharks by 4. I think it's going to be tight. So I think it's going to be Sharks 22-18. I think the Tigers will start well and we'll work our way back into it. But there's a real chance, I think, in this game that if we aren't on early, it could get away from us if the Tigers are up, because I think they will be up for it with all the media hoopla getting around.
Lads?
Mate, I'm going to go Sharks by 8. I think it'll be a bit 24-16. I think we get the job done. I think they've just got too much of a distraction going on there at the club, and I think we'll get them.
Franco?
Yeah, as my tagline there says, why so pessimistic? Last week against the Knights, I was a bit worried. Week before, I was a bit worried. So, Still a bit worried, but I'm going to go that we're going to romp home in this one. I think we're going to score some good points. We're going to probably get ahead. Let's go 28-6.
28 points to 6. All right, a couple of Harley's through with the tip. We all know what Harley's tipping. Sharks 13 plus or 1 to 12. What are you tipping, Harley? You actually haven't given us tip. We know you're going to tip a Sharks win. We're going to come back. SJD's come through with a funny comment like he always does. We'll come back to that one at the end. And then Levi, Rabbitohs 13 plus. Wrong podcast, mate. I think Sharks are going to win 13 plus. I reckon we'll do the Tigers. I reckon they're still smarting from that, despite the fact that I actually back the Tigers and think they're pretty good. All right, look, that was the match preview for the Sharkies versus the Tigers. As we mentioned, get down to Miranda Hotel if you can't watch it live at the game. We're going to have the opposition fan preview, so we'll get a few insights into the Tigers coming up. Let's move on to the next, shall we, lads? The League Roundup. In the absence of our great friend Chris Kelly, Scott Latino has taken the reins of the League Roundup, and let's get into it. What's going on, buddy?
Alrighty, mate. In light of the Lockie situation playing out at the Tigers, I've been hearing unconfirmed whispers of a potential three-way player swap deal that would see Dylan Brown to the Knights, Galvin to the Eels, and Big Kai Pearce-Paul head to the Tigers in the coming weeks. It'd be huge for all teams involved. I think it's a bit of a logistical nightmare, though, trying to make all the stars align for three clubs and make that happen. I think the Tigers would still be disadvantaged. They'd be down a half. I don't think Dewey's the answer for them going forward. So that will be a big watch over the next couple of weeks. Hilarious footage has been doing the rounds on the socials of Jai Arrow in a heated altercation with a Bulldogs fan in the lower concourse of Accor Stadium after coming from the field and his side's shut out at the hands of the Bulldogs on Friday. We know Jai Arrow doesn't do well with dogs. Arrow could be seen ripping into the fan, with the fan throwing up heart hands and continually baiting him. Arrow eventually having to be pulled away by ex-bunny John Sutton, while the police have to go on and talk to the fan. Whilst on the subject of the Rabbitohs, for Levi there, skipper Cam Murray has been dealt a cruel blow with any hopes of a return this season looking to be all but over after having to undergo the knife again this week for an infection in his foot that he had operated on after rupturing his Achilles pre-season. Murray looked to return in the final rounds this year, but now that looks rather unlikely. We've got ex-Shark Luke Metcalf with ice in his veins sealed the W for the Warriors in Golden Point after the Broncos snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. With scores all locked up at 80 minutes, the game headed for Golden Point. Reece Walsh kicks off and it's caught dead on the full. Metcalf, who prior to having a horrid night with a boot, only converting one of his side's 4 tries, knowing he had a howling breeze behind him, did not hesitate to charge halfway, take the penalty kick. As cool as you like, slotted it between the uprights for the win. This even caught the attention of people all over the world, with NBA superstar Damian Lillard posting the kick to his 10 million Instagram followers after sharing it from one of his Australian coaches' posts. And to make it worse for the Broncos, they look set to be without Walsh for the next 4 to 6 weeks through injury.
All right, and I know what you've got. I know what you've got last, lad, so we'll save that last slide. Go, Matty.
There's not many penalty goals with rugby league ball. Rugby union balls are easy to kick, and they're obviously the terrible field goal play. So penalty goal play occurs a lot more in that sport because they give too many points for a penalty goal and they kick it from 55 metres out at altitude in South Africa and all that. But kicking it, yes, a breeze behind his back. And I found it interesting, he was interviewed and he said that they practice that at training all the time. So it's a play knowing that, okay, if someone kicks out in the full at a big moment, kick it from 50 out. I remember Luke Cabell was able to do it, but he kicked a 40-odd metre penalty goal against the Dragons in 08 at Homebush. But that was a huge play in that moment. And he, A, didn't look like missing, B, cleared it, and the dead ball line and everything else. So big play that.
It is certainly a long distance, that sort of kick. All right, let's get into it. The Kennedy and the Daly M's, we talked about it last week. And then oddly enough, somehow, he went and got 6 points this weekend. So we've got a few comments coming through. So Ray Howell in the comments saying, what about William Kennedy leading the ADMs? Worthy of a mention. That's right, Roy, not Ray. Roy, we've given it an entire segment. So let's just go chuck this up the top here. Where are we? Up the top. We've got the leaderboard here. That one. There it is. Will Kennedy on 22 points. Jai Gray on 20. Terrell May on 18. Payne Haas 16. Clint Gutherson 15. And Cameron Munster and Connor Tracy on 14 points. Look, we hardly got a mention on the debrief, Franco. Now you've got your chance to talk about why didn't we talk about Will Kennedy on the debrief post-match on the weekend?
Well, I mean, again, I wasn't the host, so I didn't get to drive conversation. But
Mate,
look,
you're not, because you're never one to interrupt me at all, are you? Never.
I try my best. Look, Will Kennedy is in a special scenario where he is performing well week in, week out. Lats and I have spoken about him pretty highly almost every week this season. And so, as has been mentioned with a couple of other players who are fairly consistent, it gets hard to say the same thing over and over again, especially when he didn't do anything outside of the norm. He was safe under the high ball, which he always is. He clocked up about 200 meters.
Game.
Yeah, well,
on.
he did a lot of good stuff, but nothing that he hasn't been doing every week this season, right? And now, in saying that, we don't give out Dally M's, so we don't have to worry about. Well, he's got 6 points again, so should we not give him 6 points this week? There is a little bit of sharing the love for us and try. You gave Hiroti points. So we certainly try to pick some people that don't get love. There's Kennedy probably could have got a point from me. But like I said, it was nothing that he wasn't doing that was above and beyond what he's always been doing. We've had some players that were doing some special stuff this week, and in a game where you win and you win pretty comfortably, there's always that everyone deserves points. Let's give points to everyone. You get points, have some points. So in that scenario, yeah, we didn't talk about Kennedy, but that doesn't make his performance any less good.
Williams, was Kennedy the best player on the ground for the Sharks on the weekend, or is it a matter of just them giving to the points to the person that they think makes sense because they've been talked about in the media previous weeks and kind of been looking good?
I don't want to cause controversy here, but was Ruan Sims putting points or doing tallies again after she admitted she didn't watch the match and just gave I think it was the 3 points to Nico or something. Yeah, it does smack of that. I don't think he was the best player on the field. Yes, I agree with Franco that he didn't put too much of a foot wrong. Nice little try backing up that Brayley, great run and kick. Brayley, we want to see more of that. Obviously, came off the back of Rudolph, a quick play the ball away from the ruck, and he expertly saw that Ponga was in the line, ran at Ponga, and then put the grubber in. It was a fantastic play. We'd like to see more of that. But no, Kennedy wasn't the best player on the field. Did well. I thought Kafusi was looking good, and there was a few offloads where if Kennedy was sniffing up the middle, if Kennedy was sniffing up the middle, it could have been, let's say, instead of an 8 out of 10, it could have been a 9 out of 10 because he could have cut up the middle and set up another try or scored one himself like he was doing in 2021. So it's great to see Kennedy have a run of consistency, of consistent form, be dependable, and also a threat and attack. Last week's game against Manly with those 2 runs, one that was ruled out was out of nowhere. This week was more dependable performance. I don't know how the Dalians, but I think there's some genuine integrity / accurate, oh no, maybe not integrity, but accuracy questions about it with whoever does the providing of points, because I don't think he was the difference the other day. I think there was a few others that were probably more worthy, and that was the whole point of the 6 point thing, right? That one judge might give 3 to, let's say, I don't know, insert play here, I don't know, Nico, and another 3 might give 3 to
the person that has the 6 on their back always gets 3 points. How do we avoid that? Maybe.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not sure where that happens. Or maybe, I don't know, who got the points in the Manly game. Probably Kennedy again, I suppose. Kennedy was worthy there. Maybe sometimes they see it as like, oh, we've given him a raw end of the deal. Maybe we can make it up here. But yeah, it's an interesting... And we spoke about it last year with Kelly. The Dalian, it's not a perfect system. I don't think there is a perfect MVP style system, but... It's great. It's a great problem to have. I think he's in fantastic form. No, he wasn't the best player on the weekend. That's not a bad thing. How's he going? Good. Can he be doing any more?
I guess here's one for you, Matty, is that Kennedy's match on the weekend was worth 6 points in the Dally M. Yet if
Yeah.
Braden Trindle's match against the Cowboys counted for Daly M points in the semi-finals, then that's also worth 6 points. Yet Braden
and I
Trindle
heard-
was clearly outrageously more important and better player for us in that Cowboys semi-final than Kennedy
Agreed.
was on the weekend. So that really shows a flaw in the system, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, it does, and agreed. And I think the 6 points versus the 3 points, they've tried to offset that a bit. So someone gets 6 points, the next person might only get 3 points with the way that the fall of the numbers go, or something like that. But if they both give the same 2 points, then they can get 4 points. But agreed, impact on a game, but that's dependent on the style of game too. So Trindle had a mammoth first half in that one, and not much of a second half. So it's hard, but I think in a nutshell, the fact that Kennedy's going well, the fact that we're talking about that, things are looking good, because I suppose people weren't happy with Kennedy early in the season. People were quite upset and distraught that Ison was now a year behind schedule with regards to being the future. And Cade Dykes obviously isn't having the cleanest run of injury-free form. So I think we're in a good position here that Kennedy is playing this way. Maybe I'm stealing a question from you. Where to from here?
Well, I'll just cover off on the comments from SJD. He's saying he's trying to figure out what's worse, Nico getting no Daly M points for last week or Franco giving 3 points. So tricky, as we say, giving out the points is a little bit tricky.
I can also say that, Williams just touched on it there. Tricky had a really good first half, and that's where he got my points. That first half is what won us the game. We spoke about how strong the Knights were in defence. They didn't throw much of us in terms of attack, but Tricky really ran that game for us in the first half. And then if you talk about the second half, well, we kind of fell apart and we're a little bit weak. So, to say that he was the best player in the best half of the game, that's why he got my 3 points.
I'm with you, SJD. Hines, Brayley, Kennedy was the correct 3-2-1. Honourable mention, Kafusi, Wilton, and Harari. Now, Lats, we'll land on you. Lats, are you loading up your bets now? Will Kennedy, Daly M, winner for 2025. Go get the bets on. Is that what you're doing?
No, mate, I don't think we'll end up with the Daly M. Hopefully he doesn't drop off if he re-signs. Look,
well, you do love the re-sign, don't you? It's the contract year.
I think it works. It is. It's the contract factor. Players knocking on the door of a contract with nowhere else to go. I think they play out of their skin, and that could be what we're seeing here. Hopefully not. Hopefully he keeps his form up throughout the year, and I'm proven wrong. But I don't think he'll take out the Daly M Player of the Year. I think you've got players like Moses coming back. You've got a plethora of good halves, which will turn on the points going forward. And but it's great to see him up there now and being so consistent for the first 7 weeks.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, let's get into the next segment, which we have advertised as one of the main things. No, I want that one. No, let's remove him. We want that one. Will the Shark make the top 8, and where are they going to finish? Are we on track? And there's a few comments that come through. We're going to come back to those comments at the end of the show. So I put the brief out to the panelists. Who makes the top 8? The panel picks now that we're a quarter of the way through the season. And this is where we have landed. Get your comments in. What do you think? Who will make up the top 8? Let's go. So looking at the 2024 top 8, it was Storm first, Panthers second, Roosters third, Sharks fourth, Cowboys with fifth, the Bulldogs with sixth, Seagulls seventh, and the Knights, you can almost be not forgiven or forgiven forgetting that the Knights finished 8th last season. All right, so the boys, they're all picking, Williams, Franco, and Lats have all picked the Storm to be minor premiers. However, your good man Boldo, I'm saying the Bulldogs can keep this form going. I don't think they're going to have too many in the Origin. And I think they might just be able to get home at the top of the table in first place. Franco, do you want to give us a call on why you think the Storm are going to finish top?
Oh, look, Storm's the consistent team. They're firing at this stage. They're doing pretty well in terms of injury. My more relationship to why I think they're going to be first is I believe this is very much a haves versus the haves-nots season. And when you look at the competition up against them, you've got the Bulldogs there. I think the Bulldogs are an effort team. I don't think that they'll be able to keep that effort up for 26 rounds. So they'll drop off, and the Storm will just continue doing what the Storm do.
Bang on.
So then you've got the Bulldogs coming in second. Williams?
I was going to say bang on. I think that the effort team nature of the Bulldogs, it's going to wear them down at some stage, and it'll be difficult to maintain the entire year.
Yet they still finish second, so they're not falling off that much, fellas.
No, they'll fall away a little bit, but I think that'll probably more be a factor of this. I think the Storm will kick away, despite the result against the Dolphins of the weekend. I think they'll kick away and win the minor premiership by a reasonable margin, and then I think it'll be compressed from there. Don't know the exact numbers, but I think that's what'll cause that.
All right, up on screen, we've now got our predicted finishes for second. So Williams and Franco tipping the Bulldogs. I have tipped the Storm, so I've got it reverse order of everyone else. Now, except for the great man, Mr. Positivity, Scott Latino has got the Sharks finishing second. So I held off talking to you until now. That's Sharks second. Just the man
mate,
of positivity here on this pod.
Look, it's a very even playing field this year. I think it's a very winnable comp. If we're roundabouts there, come top four, come the end of the season, I think it is a very winnable comp. I think the Bulldogs are going to fall off a bit. I think the streak might get the noise, outside noise might get to their head a bit, inflate the ego, and I don't think they'll be able to handle it. It just takes a couple of key injuries, and I know they've had a couple of key injuries, but I just feel they're going to fall away a bit, and I think we're starting to click into form. I think Nico's going to come into form. We're seeing his confidence build, and I think we can finish in the top two.
All right, Sharks finishing second. Well, you did have as minor premiers at the start of the season, though, lads, didn't you?
They have dropped a little.
Yeah, so maybe they're backwards on where you thought they were.
Yeah. Look, we definitely haven't started as well as I hope we had. But we're still up there, mate.
We're still in it. All right, fair enough. All right, well, in third position, Williams, Franco, and Boldeman have got the Sharks finishing third. So, look, I'm typically the most pessimistic of this panel, so I actually think we're in pretty good shape. And I also think the evenness around the top and the drop-off of the Panthers, certainly it gives us a bit of an opening to jump up one spot. However, Lats, I'm going to go back to you again. You're saying that the Panthers are going to hang around.
I think they are, mate. I think they showed what they're capable of against the Roosters, who had beaten them not only a few weeks prior. You got Dylan Edwards back now, and I think they're also going to click into a groove. Cleary's finding his feet back this season. Players getting match fit, and they look pretty good on the weekend.
William, Sharks third?
Sharks third. I'll just talk on the Panthers for a sec because I'll put them in a position just behind third. All these media pundits, experts, whatever, saying the Panthers are completely cooked, gone, insert adjective here. I think it's lazy journalism or maybe even incompetence in that you see what they did on the weekend. Sensationalist. Because that then will create a story that if the Panthers do fall away, they go, I picked it back in round 6. Or if they do come back, they go, oh, wow, what a story. The Sharks in 2015 started the season 0-4. It should have made the top 4 and should have made the top 4 easily if we didn't poo the bed against Manly. So, because there was a few winnable games back in that year that we lost, and then we still had the opportunity to make the top 4 and didn't. And that was a season where there was a standout minor premier. Forgive me if I'm wrong here, we lost the Cowboys, but I think Melbourne were runaway minor premiers there and then got run down, and the Roosters were up there too. So you might see that happen here if the Storm run away, that the top 4 is very gettable, and the Panthers showed that form. Sharks third. Everyone talks about our draw. I think you're right, we are well placed given what happened a few weeks ago. We could have quite easily been on a 4-match losing streak, and then we're talking about, do we even make the 8? We've recovered a bit now. The next few weeks, as always, are important. But if we keep showing what we can do, then I think we'll hang around.
Well, if we win, what was it? The game we lost, the
Raiders.
The Raiders game. Then we're literally in third.
Yeah, correct.
Third. So,
yeah,
not too tough for us. All right, let's move on. Oh, Franco, you can give a comment on why you think the Sharks will be third.
Oh, look, we are halfway through what would be considered the toughest period of our draw, and we're not doing as well as we maybe thought we would do pre-season, but we're doing well, and I think we're going to build from here, go from strength to strength, and that'll treat us well towards the back end of the season.
We're 6th now. It's the only way is up. All right, then we've got the rest of the boys. So Williams' 4th prediction is the Panthers. Franco's in the Raiders. Lats has got the Bulldogs, and I've got the Panthers. So I think the Panthers will actually come back and jag fourth. They'll be close in and around that fourth position. Branko, why are you so high on the Raiders?
I think they're doing really well. They've got a young, energetic group of players that are being led around quite skillfully by their half. As much as I don't like their coach, I think they've got a pretty good team together that aren't really showing much fear of anything, and I think they're gonna do well. Like I said a bit earlier, I think this is a case of this season being the haves and the have-nots, and the Raiders are one of those ones that have what they need and will continue to win more games than they lose.
All right, on the fifth, Williams has got Warriors, Franco's got Broncos, Lats is staying true to the Roosters, and I've got the Broncos. Williams, talk us through the Warriors.
They've been shown a bit this year. Well, they've only lost to the round one game to the Raiders, where the Raiders ambushed them, and then the game in Melbourne, where Melbourne pumped them. Outside of that, they've had some good results, and they got away against the Tigers away from home. So they're showing a bit more resolve than the Warriors of last year. They're a bit more of a 2023 style Warriors side, and I think that they'll, like similar to us with the travel to Vegas, they've got through this period pretty well. And I think they'll continue improving. If they stay where they are or improve a bit, I think they'll definitely be in the 8.
All right, SJD in the comments he's saying, seems like you all forgot about that the Broncos exist. They'll make the top 4 easy. Well, Franco and I got them 5th. SJD, come on, it's a bit tough. So I think, looking at mine, I'm going to respond to that for myself. So firstly, I think the Bulldogs will be minor premiers. Storm are good. Sharks are obviously the Sharks. The Panthers have won 4 in a row. So I think the Broncos coming in 5th of that is a fair assessment of where they might finish. And they just, I don't know. Franco, is SJD tough honesty, or is he the honesty broker of the comment section?
Oh, look, this is just so we can peel behind the Iron Curtain a little bit. This is us picking a top 8 today. So we've got a bit of a benefit of seeing what's happened the last few rounds, knowledge of Walsh and an injury cloud, a bit of drama between Hunt, whether he's going to be doing a bit more role of hooker versus being in the halves, just bit of argy-bargy between him and the coach. So look, I don't think all is happy and well in the Broncos, and that's probably going to affect them a little bit, but they're still a great team with a whole heap of talent, and so that's why I've got them at 5th.
There was zero science behind this. No ladder predictors were used. It was just literally eyeballing.
What are you talking about? I spent like hours looking at my numbers, Matty.
Oh, okay. There's efficiency, and then there's that.
Well, who knows? All right. 6th position, Williams has got the Broncos. Franco's staying true to the Warriors. Lats has got the Broncos, and I've now got the Raiders. So no true surprises in there. Let's look at who the teams we've got as 7th. Williams, Raiders. Franco, Panthers. Lats is the Warriors. And look, I'm the only person who's got them in there. Let's just bring up the final 8 here. I'm the only person who's prepared to tip it. The West Tigers, I'm going to stay with my tip that the Tigers are going to make the 8. Not only are they going to make the 8, they're going to finish 7th. Pretty confident for the West Tigers, despite the fact that they're going to lose this weekend. I think they're coming good. And they've only one win outside the 8. And annoyingly, it'd be funny if they win this weekend. I just think they can come good. And Jerome Luai, don't forget, he's the winningest player in the NRL. Matty, I can see you just champing at the bit here to just take me on. Come on.
They're going to finish 9th, and they're going to finish 9th either on for and against or by like 1 competition point.
That's also highly possible. That is highly possible. And then I'm also staying true to the Seagulls because DCE will work out what he's going to do. I reckon he might end up backflipping. Who knows? You never know with Manly and DCE. Such a dastardly contract character. And once Turbo comes good. So I'm actually kicking the Warriors out. I actually think they're going to fade. I have no faith or trust in the Warriors after seeing them get absolutely smashed in Las Vegas. I just can't see how that team that performed so badly can turn things around. So, don't know.
Although you saw Chris Kelly get absolutely smashed in Las Vegas, and he came back for the pod.
That's true. That's true. All right.
And the Warriors helped him get back there.
Well, all right. Let's look at some other funny tips here. So we've got Williams is going the Dragons. With the only one who SJD's backing you up here saying the Dragons.
Thanks,
feels
SJD.
right.
Flano factor. He's got them gritty and able to win matches. I think they'll be thereabouts.
Don't know how I feel about that.
I don't like it.
But
I
they're
think it might happen.
actually, you're right. The Dragons are a little bit better. Where they're sitting 7th now, so they're on the same number of points as us.
They
So
beat the Storm.
yeah, maybe. Franco, you just get pulled in from this weekend on the Dolphins, haven't you? Just thinking the Dolphins can make it. That is just recency bias, if ever there was one. You saw Brian Fletcher talking him up on the Matty John show on Sunday, and you're just jumping on the bandwagon.
No, I didn't. Didn't watch the Matty John's show. I was busy doing a debrief.
Good point.
But,
So was I.
Yeah. So the Dolphins, I think they're on a 3-game winning streak. They've got some talent. I do think Wolf is a pretty good coach, but not to harp on about it. Like I said, I think there's a bunch of teams that are in and a bunch of teams that are out. And if you look at the teams that are outside of the 8, the Eels, the Roosters, the Knights, even the Titans, I think you can put a ruler through them. The Tigers and the Seagulls, which you've picked in yours, I think there's a little bit too much going on with contract negotiations and saga, let alone the turbo injury for the Seagulls. And so West Tigers and Eagles, I'm not putting a line through them, but I think I've got the Dolphins in front of them. You've then got the Rabbitohs, who are turning into a bit of a shambles now since Latrell's come back. And then you've got the Cowboys and the Dragons, who are in front of the Dolphins, but you've got to remember they've also had a bye, and the Dolphins haven't had a bye. So the Dolphins have earned their spot. I'm thinking that the Dolphins will continue to get better here and squeak in.
I reckon there's no chance the Dolphins get in, Franco. No.
Well, let's see what happens.
Absolutely not. All right, Ray Howell's calling you out. Latsy's saying Eels, what are you doing? And then SJD saying that's got to be a typo, isn't it?
Mate, with Moses back, do not write them off. I think Lachlan Galvin will end up there very soon. You've got Zach Lomax to come back. They will get a little bit get battered during Origin time with Moses and Lomax out, maybe even Fox. But look, mate, if they can stay fit, they showed us the other day what they're capable of. I think they're a chance.
I want to know what his excuse is with the Roosters.
Mate, you've got my excuse. Okay,
Sorry,
you've got what's it? Hugo Savala. He's shown us that he's a first grade player. Sam Walker's still to come back. Mate, they're right in it too. They're not too far away. As I said, it's a winnable comp. The competition's spread pretty evenly with only the Bulldogs right up the top at the moment. And you know what, mate?
They're going to go from 16th to 5th.
Well, mate, I've got the Eels going from last to 8th, so why not?
Okay,
Mr. Dolphin.
Good. Yeah, we'll see.
It can happen.
Flipper over here.
Oh, this is so good. It's just pandemonium. Now, I just want to say, Roy, I'm sorry for calling you Ray, but I'm just going to say I'm going blind, and it's the damn screen over here is so small that I just can't see the damn letters. And I'm sure Franco will back me up here because he can't see them sometimes either. Roy Howell, I've been called worse. All right, Howie. Well, it's good. So have I. All right. Well, all right. Well, that was
Ray Hadley.
Yeah. Well, it could have been Roy Hadley. All right. Well, look, this was our prediction of the top 8. Get your top 8 in the comments and let us know what you think. Were we wrong? Right? Where do we go from here? I think I'm more right than all of you guys, but who knows? What does it matter? All right. Let's boot that one out. Let's bring back this around the league for the last segment. All right. So for those that might be familiar with the WWE, our dear friend Chris Kelly is at the WWE. And if you're watching the coverage, then you might have seen this. So this is a take from Jey Uso, who won the World Championship match. And you can see there's a sign in the crowd, bullying if ever there was one, Boldo sucks. So thanks. So I just want to say to you, Chris Kelly, you suck. So a bit of backstory on this one.
After years of biding their time, Boldo, the old bull and the young calf have gotten one back on you.
Oh, this is true. So I've been going to wrestling events wearing Shark jerseys for a long time, and Chris did send me a text saying a lot of people are loving the Sharks jersey. So there you go, Aramex. You're getting recognition on a global stage. So they got their moment back with little Zach. Well, not so little Zach anymore with his Boldo suck sign. So when Jey Uso's coming in, You can see Chris Kelly and his family there just calling out the Boldo sucks.
Well,
So
I think that's Nick holding that sign.
it is Nick holding up that sign.
There
It's
you
Chris's
go.
wife.
So
It looks like they have
universal, mate.
two
Everyone
Boldo
everyone
sucks
agrees.
signs, one in blue and one in black.
Yeah. Can I just confirm that Boldo doesn't suck? But anyway, so that was good fun. So I hope you enjoyed the Wrestling Kellys. It'll be good to see you guys back here in a couple of weeks. So that was that segment there. Boldo sucks. That's just mean. So other than that, let's just go through the comments of the stuff that we might have missed going all the way back up to the top. Danny Lee came through in the comments originally saying it was disappointing that we didn't go for the jugular, but it was a good, solid win. That was in reference to the Knights match. And Danny Lee, I think you were right there. And great career with the Sharks, as we have reiterated. Other comments, SJD came through in the comments saying Isaiah Katoa is only a little older than Suki Galvin and he's miles better. Maybe. And then other than that, we had Harley tipping the Sharks. Yes, Franco?
That's the Dolphins half.
Yeah. Well, given that you're on the Dolphins, I guess you can respond to that. Is he better than Galvin?
I'd sit on the fence for that one, but he's certainly talented. He's doing well and playing beyond his ears, yeah.
All right. Bit of love for Tricky's pass to Roddy was great from SJD there. Harley tipped Sharks by 10, which we didn't see. And then beyond that, SJD also calling out Boldo wouldn't pass his RMS eyesight test. Shouldn't be driving. Well, SJD knows that my eyesight's always been a bit bad. All right. Anything else from you lads? Franco, anything to mention just in case you want to talk about Will Kennedy again and I haven't given you the chance? Here's your chance to talk about anything you might want.
No, mate. Rumor has it you're not going to make the debrief, so I'm going to be able to chat for as long as I want on that episode.
That is possibly true. Possibly true. So we'll see how we go. All right, Lats Williams, thanks, fellas. Good to see you. And we will see you guys. We've got the Chronicles episode. Yes, Matthew?
Did you want to cover the amount of Williamses that have played for the Sharks? I think you sent me some homework this week or last week. Or Franco,
yeah, right.
yes.
Let's do it. Come on, let's do it. How many?
Franco, you asked
this is for SJD, right? Was he the one that called you out?
Let's go.
Yeah, SJD. Or if you put in the comments, how many Williamses do you reckon play for the Sharks in their 50, almost 60-year history? Franco, how many do you reckon? Have a ballpark figure number.
Going with 9.
Okay, 9. Boldo?
I'm gonna say 4.
4. Okay, Franco. As a that were.
Does that include William? Because it's first name and last name.
No, not William Kennedy. Williams only.
Okay, I'm saying 4.
I was
Roy
going to go.
says 7.
I was going to say 4 myself, but I'll go 5 as a point of difference.
5. SJD will hold the line one more. I'll read a few out anyway. So we'll start.
Roy Howell in the comments saying 7.
Roy was 7. Thank you. SJD, if he's watching, he can catch up. Anyway, there's a guy, Rex Williams was the first one. He played 28 matches back from 76 to 1982, sorry. Don't know him. Yeah, 6 is SJD's comment.
6 from SJD, there we go.
There's 1. On to the next we have is a guy by the name of Jason Williams. He was one of my favorites.
He was a forward.
He punched. He was a forward. We signed him out of prison. He'd spent some prison time after being he was born in Auckland. We got him in 2004 when we were terrible. We just lost to Souths. Greg Bird need Shane Martini. The next week we played against the Cowboys at home with Nigel Bungan.
I'm done.
We got pumped. Anyway, Jason Williams. Anyway, he was a good impact forward off the bench. Then he got sacked by the Sharks for punching and breaking a guy by the name of Jeremy Smith. Not the Jeremy Smith, another lower graded jaw in a training ground fracas. So he went to the Raiders after that.
I forgot that happened.
Yeah. Then there's a guy by the name of Reece Williams. You'll know him
well. We know him.
Knows him. He played 69 matches, unfortunately retired early. So we've got Reece Williams. We've got a guy by the name of John Williams. We know him, ex-Cowboy, and I think he played for Manly as well from the Hills District. Played 32 matches in, 2011, 2012. We also had Jack Williams, so up to 4. We had
2 Jack
5,
Williams,
sorry.
technically.
So we had 2. Yeah, one played first grade, the other one didn't, but Jack Williams, who now plays for the Eels. And then there's one other that I'm missing. So we had 5. So we've got Rex, Reese, John, Jason, Jack, there's a final one that you will know. You will all kick yourself. He used to play for Manly. He was big. He played...
Oh, Tony Williams.
Tony Williams.
Tony Williams.
One match for us in
T-Rex.
2017. But
Tony Williams.
he
Scored a try.
he scored a try.
There's a seventh. Oh, hold on.
He did his A. There's a seventh. There is a seventh spiritual Williams. There is only one next Sonny Bill Williams, and my favourite Williams that ever played for the Sharks was indeed the next Sonny Bill Williams, Carl Faliga. Yes, I love you, Carl Faliga too. So anyway, that's
Carl
that's
Faliga. He just gets. We got to get him on the podcast. Carl Faliga,
We
where
do.
are you? The next
We're
Sonny
gonna
Bill
find it.
Williams. So what was it? It was six
six
Williamses.
total.
6 SJD.
Yeah.
Six
Mike
SJD.
Knight, thank you for the kind words. I don't know so much. I just have unuseless information in my head, and I can use rugby league projects. So shout out to those guys who do all the hard work stats wise. I just go steal my data from there.
All right. Well, this podcast can only go down from there. So that is definitely going to be clipped up, that segment, and put to the Instagram and socials. So if you don't follow our Instagram channel yet, get out there and follow it. Matty will be live not live. He'll be out with a debrief episode this week. We'll have the opposition fan preview. Some of us will be live post the Sharks full time around 6:30 p.m. on Sunday night. It'll be Franco and somebody, possibly me, possibly someone else. I'm actually off to London to watch the FA Cup semi-final, so I might be a bit sleepy. That was me. For David Boldeman, this was the ET stand. For my good friend Scott Latino, Matthew Williams, and Stephen Franco Franklin, we will see you guys next time up Cronulla.
For over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. Talent, skill, speed, intelligence, elite level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated. More often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the ET Stand Podcast.